Hi everyone, so I wanted to do a quick unboxing of one of the last 3DS physical games that's coming out in 2022. So this is sort of a little indie title published by Squire Games. So I heard about this last month, shortly after the news that the eShop was closing down, and this was advertised as one of the last published 3DS games. And this in particular piqued my interest because it's a classic strategy RPG in vein of Final Fantasy Tactics and also Vagrant Story, which as the title, Fragrant Story is sort of a nod to, from my understanding. So these are actually still available, I believe, the second print run on the Squire Games website. I'll have a link in the description if you're interested. But I just wanted to do a quick unboxing and sort of share my early impressions of the game. So it was mailed out in this box. So it has Square Games, and William Cage is the one who was behind all of this. And this was considered a non-profit game from my understanding. So I ended up buying just the regular edition. But there is a limited edition, also a signed limited edition for a little bit more if you want to go all out. But with this being a new title that I was unfamiliar with, and I had a feeling that it was going to be very short, I wasn't really keen to spring $75 plus on one of these things. So it's packaged like this, so it's actually pretty safe. So this is what they stuck in on top, and it does tell you quite a bit. So it lets you know that there's going to be a free update coming soon, which is good. I'll talk more about my experience playing it, but from what I could tell, it's very bare bones and has very limited content on the cart. And you could also donate or tip using that QR information if you wanted to, and they have information on t-shirts and things. But I think what's really interesting is about the sniff the box. But this being called Fragrant Story, I do like how they really committed to this theme and added some fragrant features to the physical edition. So this is how it came in. Usually with these cardboard boxes you see, especially in the Atlas games, they're not usually wrapped, except like in the shrink wrap. So that was interesting. And this is the regular edition, as I mentioned. So in addition to the physical game, you also get the soundtrack as well as a code for the digital soundtrack, which I thought was a nice touch. And I do really like the packaging they chose. And from what I could tell, having never played Final Fantasy Tactics and games of that nature, I do really appreciate sort of the artwork and style they went for this game. And I did actually sniff the top where it's supposed to have a random scent, and I can't really describe the scent. I think it's on the sticker here that originally closed it. But it's kind of almost like allspice to me. It's a scent I can't really describe well, but it was interesting and not a bad scent by any means. I was kind of hoping for more of a fragrant, like flowery or like fruity scent, but I thought this was fine too. And so this is the CD. I stuck this here because I haven't redeemed my copy of the digital soundtrack. I will open this guy up in a second. I haven't looked at that yet. The reason for buying this, I think for most people, is getting a physical copy of the game. So this does have the ESRB logo, and that's what the spine looks like, and the back. And what was interesting about this, I did say this, it was actually wrapped in this plastic, and if you read up here, they explained up here that they didn't have the official machine that usually wraps the 3DS games. So this sticker here in the bottom corner is how you can verify that it's an official copy and that the edition you received was brand new. But yeah, onto inside. And the first thing that I noticed was that this was not an official Nintendo 3DS case, which I think makes sense given how late they published these. And there was actually a pretty quick turnaround from the announcement to the manufacturing of this. But we do have an inside manual of sorts, or they're calling it an instruction booklet. It's very simple, but I do appreciate whenever publishers put the time and effort to add manuals again. But yeah, and then this has all of the warnings and things and saying that it's an official licensed product and all that. And then onto the game cart. So here it is up close. So this is an official Nintendo 3DS cart. So I guess they were able to grab a batch in order to make this, which was cool. And here is a closer look at the physical soundtrack. And so there are quite a number of tracks on here, which I was surprised. There must be more campaigns than what I played, which makes sense. And this is the wheel that you go through when you attack someone or an enemy attacks you. So I do like, I think that's a pretty cool thing to design this as. Here is the disc itself. So yeah, actually I do really like this touch after playing a little bit of the game. And one thing I did fail to mention earlier was that this does have a pretty famous, and I would say the JRPG realm, composer who helped work on this. That was another thing that really intrigued me. All of the pretty prominent names who contributed to this little project. So zooming in on the track list, you can see that most of these tracks were composed by William Cage, but 4 of them were composed by Hitoshi Sakimoto, and featuring Yoshimi Kudo. So those were sort of the big names I was hinting at before, who've worked on a lot of classic JRPGs in the past. And the detail down in the lower right just states how this wasn't a for-profit project, and a little bit more information about William Cage's work. So what I'm actually going to do now is pop it in so you guys could see that it is an official cart and how it's displayed. And they did have the added sound effect features, which I thought was a nice touch. And I'm just going to show the opening a little bit, and then kind of talk about my experience playing it. So to be fair, I only played this for maybe 15 minutes. And I was able to get through a campaign. So this is set up just like Final Fantasy Tactics, from my understanding, having never played Final Fantasy Tactics. But first you have to go into story mode, and then these challenge and quick start options, they become playable once you initiate the story mode. And there's all these other sort of features that you could do. One thing I wanted to note that I was sort of suspecting when I was watching the official trailer for this game is the game is actually only on the top screen. It's the bottom screen is basically dead, which I think is a little disappointing for a 3DS title. And for anyone else interested, the 3D effect does nothing too, which I was also suspecting. But you could do these 3 different modes, and tokens, I believe, are like how many characters you're able to bring on your campaign. And I do like how they added English voice acting. And this was actually what was on the trailer playing. So I do like the effort put into that. But to interrupt him, I I think it's the same dialogue that's played every time you start up the campaign, which I can imagine if you play this a lot to unlock everything and all the characters and whatnot, could get a little aggravating. So let's see if I could. I don't know if that lets me skip it. But yeah, you have all these different characters with different jobs, and I was able to unlock, I think, this guy after my first playthrough. So this card did say that there's going to be a free update, so hopefully that means there's going to be more campaigns that'll be available. It says more characters, items, and music. So that's pretty cool, though it's a little disappointing it won't be officially on the cart. And given the eShop closing so soon, it's the update, you're gonna have to grab it before they officially close it down next year. Lower the volume a little bit. But yeah, from what I played, it was fun. It was just pretty simple, but I did do, I think, the easy mode. I don't think it'll take long to unlock everything that's already on the cart. So when it comes to buying this physically, it's sort of up to you. I am a pretty big 3DS game collector, so I was happy to add a new title, especially a tactics type game, to my library. But at the $35 plus shipping price tag, it is kind of a lot for what it is. I think you could buy this on the eShop now for under $5. So if you want to try this out, that might be the way to go. And I am glad that I didn't spring for the big box collector edition, even though it did have some cool things in there like keychains, an art book, and something else scented. So that would have been kind of cool to have, but yeah, for $70 plus shipping, it is kind of a lot. But regardless, I think this is a nice novelty to own, especially in 2022. And with this also just being on the single screen here, I feel like they're going to move it to the Switch eventually. So that's something else to keep in mind if you're considering to get this or not. But yeah, that's it for this simple little unboxing and early first impressions video. This physical game was actually number 50 in my collection, so I'm going to do a collection video sometime next week. So please look forward to that. And until then, bye guys.